A snake bit you where? Good afternoon, everybody. I always say we have a fascinating story for you today. I'm trying to stop that, but boy, is this one fascinating. So, we've gone over animals. Animals are always causing trouble with neighbors, and today is no exception. But the stories are always different. For those of you who don't know me, my name is John Schenk. I'm the founder and managing broker of Deerwood Realty here in St. Louis, Missouri. We're a small boutique brokerage. We specialize mainly in residential and light commercial sales. We have our podcast, Deerwood Realty and Friends. It's available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Deezer, Stitcher, etc. And we have a video version, which is what you might be watching right now on YouTube. If you like real estate stories, if you like neighbors, if you like maybe some advice sometimes on real estate, bad real estate deals, things of this nature, you should probably hit the subscribe button, and I think you'll be happy with what you're going to see. We're on episode 42. We have 27 subscribers, and we're going in the right direction. Maybe someday we'll get all the way to 29, 30, and after that, who knows? But I'm feeling much more comfortable, and I hope it's coming through. The first episodes were very, very difficult for me. Technological problems and just format issues. So hopefully you're enjoying it. So we'll get to the article right now. It says, man bitten by neighbor's escaped python in toilet in Austria. It says a man in Austria was bitten by a 1.6 meter or 5¼ foot python during an early morning visit to the toilet at his home on Monday. The reptile, which apparently escaped from a neighbor's apartment and may have slithered through the drains, was cleaned and handed back to its owner. The 65-year-old victim felt a nip in the genital area shortly after sitting on the toilet at home just after 6 a.m. He then looked into the toilet and discovered the albino reticulated python. It says it wasn't immediately possible to figure out how it escaped and how it got into the toilet, but police say it may have made its way through the drain. A reptile expert was called to retrieve the snake. Police said the younger man kept 11 non-venomous constrictor snakes and a gecko in his apartment, in terrariums and drawers. It says he faces an investigation on suspicion of causing bodily harm by negligence. Now, would that same thing happen in the United States? Would your python that was found in your neighbor's toilet, unfortunately after it had bitten the neighbor, would it be returned to you, cleaned, and then would you be facing an investigation? I don't know the answer. I have no idea. I have no idea. Can you imagine though? I mean, it's bad enough you got bit in some area you don't really want to get bit by a python. And then you give it back, and they may or may not press charges or do an investigation. I just don't know. Like, I suspect, I'm trying to figure out, it's 6 o'clock in the morning. Did one neighbor know the other neighbor had 11, constrictor snakes before that? And then did he say like, oh, that must be my, like, how did we find out who owned the snake? It's just, it's just problematic. So that's what I have on that one. Now I have another, a short one because, I couldn't fill the time with the snake in the toilet story. So I went around the internets and I kind of emboldened by what I see on the internet. I have been giving advice. I've said a couple of things in the last couple of episodes. One, I've said, if you don't like your situation, move. And I said, I'm biased as can be because I'm a real estate agent and I will help you move. But I don't see a reason why you should stay in a place that you don't like. I mean, your life is short and it goes by so fast. Just get out. Just leave the place. Whatever's, your neighbor's a jerk, get out. Don't waste your time with your neighbor. It's not worth it. I've also said, in this day and age, you might want to have a security camera. And I don't mean that to spy on your neighbors or spy on anybody like that, but people are coming at you and you need to have some way to document that. And so I want to go over to this, if I do it right, like I want to go over here to this and do that. And it says, I'll read it. It says, I'm having trouble with my neighbor. A few months ago, we had some issues with a tree in my yard. Now, every time I walk outside, he is there. He starts yelling F-bombs at me. I have called the police 3 times, but nothing has come of that. What can I do about this guy? First thing the lawyer says, who's not giving legal advice, it says one option is to move. And then he says another option is to hire an attorney and get a restraining order against him. Expect to spend thousands of dollars in attorney's fees if you take that approach. And then finally he says, regardless, you should install a security cameras to record your neighbor in action so that you can prove he really acts in the way you say he does. Well, would you look at that? Would you look at that? Can you imagine? Well, there's a lot to that. There's a lot to unpack on that story. One, it's a tree story, essentially. We have a tree in a neighbor's yard that has caused issues. Now, how many stories have we had that we covered that have been about trees? At least 4. Trees are not your friend in neighborhoods, with neighbors at least. It's just not a good situation. I like trees. I have no problem. But boy, when they start causing problems on your neighborhood and making your neighbors hate you, you've got an issue. Now, the one where it was, burning crosses and that in Indianapolis, that was just weird. That went above and beyond a tree story. But here you have this, there was a tree in this fellow's yard, okay? And his neighbor and him clearly didn't get along with the tree situation. And now the neighbor is so angry with him that every time he goes outside his door, the neighbor starts screaming the F word at him. That is not very neighborly. Okay, I don't know all the rules, but I do know that that's not the proper way to greet your neighbor in the morning. And then, so this situation's already out of control. So he calls the police. Police come out and they don't do anything. 3 times. What are they supposed to do? I don't even know. I guess I don't think you can just F-bomb your neighbor over and over again without some sort of, there's got to be some rule against that, I would think. But apparently, at least so far, it's been 3 times it hasn't happened. So the guy, the attorney who's not giving legal advice says you should move. You should really consider moving because it's going to cost you thousands of dollars to get a restraining order with your attorney, and there's no point by that. But just move. And I'm in 100% agreement. That well has been poisoned. If your neighbor is screaming F-bombs at you every time you go out the door, I don't think you're going to fix that. There's not going to be a heart-to-heart on this one. This is a broken relationship. This is terrible. You need to move. And you say, well, I shouldn't have to move. He should have to move. It's past that. Just why live Why would you ever want to live somewhere where your neighbor is just it's just, and then the whole thing. Okay, so you can record this guy doing this, and I guess you could do some sort of public shaming. You could put the videos on YouTube, or you could, you know, I'm sure the police at some point would do something. But this is where I'm at in 2021. My home is the only place I have for solace. Okay, the only place I can relax and not be harassed by all this craziness in the world. And you can see, I'm sure that's the case for 90% of the population. And you can see this guy coming home from work, leaving his house, gets the F-bomb every day, more than once, because of some tree issue that he may deserve to be getting the F-bomb every day. I don't know what the problem was with the tree. They didn't discuss that, but just move and hope that the neighbors that you find next aren't crazy, and maybe that you don't have a tree to fight with your neighbor about. We talked about that. If you're gonna have a house and you don't like the trees in the neighborhood, don't move there. It's not worth it. So I think we did pretty good today. We had no real screw ups on the technology. Had two good stories, and it's a Friday. I don't know when you'll be watching this, but it's a Friday here. Had a great week. I hope you enjoyed what I had for you today. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening, and I'll catch you on the next one.